Former President Donald J. Trump has been a whirlwind of activity lately, issuing directives and pronouncements that have left observers both energized and bewildered. From seemingly small matters like light bulbs to weighty issues of international diplomacy, Trump has once again inserted himself into the heart of the national conversation. These actions, coming in quick succession, have reignited familiar debates about the role of government, the balance between environmental concerns and economic realities, and America's place on the global stage. Trump's recent moves have been met with a mix of praise and condemnation, reflecting the deep divisions that continue to characterize American politics. Supporters applaud his willingness to challenge the status quo and champion what they see as common-sense solutions. They argue that his deregulation efforts will unleash economic growth, while his foreign policy initiatives demonstrate American strength. Critics, on the other hand, view these actions as reckless and counterproductive. They argue that rolling back environmental regulations will harm public health and exacerbate climate change, while his foreign policy pronouncements risk alienating allies and destabilizing already fragile regions. As the nation grapples with these latest developments, one thing is clear: Trump remains a polarizing figure whose every move is subject to intense scrutiny. Whether these actions will ultimately benefit or harm the country remains to be seen, but they are sure to have a lasting impact on the political landscape. The coming months will be crucial in determining the long-term consequences of Trump's recent pronouncements, and the eyes of the nation will be watching closely as the drama unfolds. One of Trump's most talked-about moves has been his decision to roll back regulations on energy-efficient light bulbs. These regulations, implemented during the Biden administration, were designed to phase out older, less efficient incandescent bulbs in favor of newer, more energy-efficient alternatives like LEDs. Trump has long criticized these regulations, arguing that they represent government overreach and limit consumer choice. Trump's decision has been met with cheers from some quarters and jeers from others. Supporters of the move argue that consumers should be free to choose whichever light bulbs they prefer, regardless of their energy efficiency. They argue that the higher upfront cost of LED bulbs is a deterrent for many consumers, especially those with lower incomes. Additionally, they point out that incandescent bulbs often provide a warmer, more aesthetically pleasing light that many people prefer. Opponents of the rollback, however, argue that it is a step backward for energy conservation and will ultimately cost consumers more money in the long run. They argue that while LED bulbs may have a higher upfront cost, they last significantly longer and use far less energy, resulting in lower electricity bills over time. Furthermore, they argue that the move will increase greenhouse gas emissions, contributing to climate change. Trump's meeting with King Abdullah of Jordan provided a glimpse into his approach to foreign policy, and it was a meeting fraught with tension and disagreement. One of the most contentious issues discussed was Trump's proposal to relocate Gaza's inhabitants to Egypt and Jordan. This proposal, met with skepticism and concern by many international observers, underscores the complexities of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and the challenges in finding a lasting solution. King Abdullah, whose country has long played a pivotal role in regional stability, reportedly pushed back against Trump's proposal. He emphasized the need for a solution that benefits all parties involved and expressed concerns about the feasibility and potential consequences of relocating such a large population to Jordan. The king's stance highlights the delicate balance he must strike as a leader of a country grappling with its own internal challenges while navigating the turbulent waters of Middle Eastern geopolitics. The meeting, while cordial, exposed the stark differences in opinion between the two leaders on how to address one of the world's most intractable conflicts. It served as a reminder that even among allies there can be deep disagreements on how to approach complex foreign policy challenges. Section 4. Streamlining the Leviathan efficiency or erosion. In a move aimed at fulfilling a campaign promise to reduce the size and scope of government, Trump signed an executive order directing federal agencies to streamline their operations and reduce their workforce. The order, which calls for a comprehensive review of government efficiency, has been touted by the administration as a necessary step to eliminate waste, reduce bureaucracy, and improve the delivery of government services. Proponents of the executive order argue that it will lead to a leaner, more efficient government that is more responsive to the needs of the American people. They argue that eliminating redundancies and streamlining processes will save taxpayer dollars and reduce the burden on businesses and individuals. Additionally, they contend that a smaller federal workforce will foster greater accountability and reduce the potential for government overreach. Critics, however, view the executive order as a thinly veiled attempt to gut essential government programs and services. They argue that slashing the federal workforce will lead to job losses, reduce the quality of services provided to citizens, and undermine the ability of government to fulfill its essential functions. Furthermore, they express concern that the order will disproportionately impact vulnerable populations who rely on government assistance programs. Section 5. The penny for your thoughts, a small change with big implications. Perhaps the most symbolic, if not the most consequential of Trump's recent actions, is his decision to halt the production of pennies. Citing the rising cost of producing the 1-cent coin, which now exceeds its face value, Trump has argued that continuing to mint the penny is a waste of taxpayer money. This move, while seemingly minor, has sparked a surprisingly heated debate about the role of currency in modern society and the potential consequences of eliminating even the smallest denomination. Supporters of the move, including some economists and business owners, argue that the penny has outlived its usefulness. They point out that in an age of electronic transactions and rising prices, the penny's purchasing power has dwindled to the point of being practically worthless. They argue that eliminating the penny would simplify cash transactions, reduce the cost of doing business, and ultimately save taxpayers money. Opponents of the move, however, argue that eliminating the penny would disproportionately impact low-income individuals who rely on cash transactions and may not have access to bank accounts or credit cards. They contend that rounding prices up to the nearest nickel would result in a subtle but significant increase in the cost of goods and services, effectively acting as a regressive tax on the poor. Furthermore, they argue that the penny holds historical and cultural significance and should be preserved. Conclusion: a nation divided, a legacy debated. Trump's recent flurry of activity, from rolling back regulations to engaging in international diplomacy and even tackling the humble penny, has once again thrust him into the center of American politics. These actions, met with a predictable mix of praise and condemnation, underscore the deep divisions that continue to define the nation. While the long-term impact of these decisions remains to be seen, one thing is certain: Trump's legacy, like his presidency, will be a subject of debate and scrutiny for years to come.